Welcome to part 2 of our arterial blood gas lesson. In this one, we're gonna go over our ABG tic-tac-toe board and how we interpret our arterial blood gas results. So let's get started. So our ABG is going to determine what 3 lab values. This is going to be our pH, our PaCO2, and our HCO3. So that acid base, our carbon dioxide, or our bicarb. Of course, we remember that this blood gas can give us other labs or more labs, but these are the typical 3 that are going to help us indicate or determine quickly if our patient is in an acid or base state and if it's respiratory or metabolic. Using the reference chart below and a standard tic-tac-toe board, we're going to plug in our ABG results. Once we get 3 in a row, we can determine our result. Let's talk about our normal ranges again, and what should those normal ranges look like in our pH? Well, this should be a 7.35 to 7.45. Our bicarb is going to be a 22 to 26. And here's where it gets a little bit trickier. This PaCO2 is going to be from 35 to 45, but as you can see, this is flipped. And to keep this chart nice and clean, we want to remember that anything basically at this side of our table is going to be acidosis, and anything over here in our ranges is going to be our alkalosis. So if we look, this acidotic side is anything below 7.35, and in our bicarb, anything below our 22 is acidosis. But with our carbon dioxide, if we remember, the more we have of it, the more acidic we're going to be. The less we have of it, the less basic or alkalosis or alkalotic that we're going to be. So remember to keep this nice and clean. We're going to keep our numbers flipped like this. So first, we're going to set up our tic-tac-toe board, and we're always going to start with this top line, this green highlighted area. So our A is going to indicate our acidosis or our acidic. Our N is going to be our neutral, meaning that our lab value is in a neutral range. And our B is going to mean basic or that alkalosis. In step 2, we're going to figure out our pH. So the first thing we're going to look at is what is the pH of our lab results. So in this example, you can see right here that we have 2 different results. So we're going to treat this as 2 different patients. So whatever you see on the top is patient 1, whatever you see is patient 2, and this is going to be 1 patient, this is going to be 1 patient. So our first lab result is a pH of 7.26. Well, if we remember, this is acidic. So this means that our pH is in the A category of our tic-tac-toe board. So this is acidic. In our second patient here to the right, our pH is a 7.48. That is going to be what? Alkalotic or basic. So we're going to put our pH into our B column on our tic-tac-toe board. So now our PaCO2 and our HCO3, or our carbon dioxide and our bicarb, are going to tell us which mechanism the acidosis or alkalosis is caused by. So let's take a quick step back. So in patient 1 here, since our pH is acidic, we know our patient is in an acidotic state. And in patient 2 here, we have a patient with a high pH. So this patient is in an alkalotic state. So now it doesn't really matter what order we do, but we're gonna now check out the next labs in our ABG. Step 3, we're gonna figure out on this one, our PaCO2. So we're gonna use the pH from above on patient 1 and 2, and we're gonna add them here into our patient with a PaCO2 of 60 and this arrow PaCO2 of 30. So in patient 1 here, we knew that we had a pH that was acidic, or it was low at a 7.26. And since our PaCO2 is 60, this is going to be high. They have a lot of carbon dioxide present. So this is acidotic. So we're gonna put our PaCO2 in our acidotic column. And for our other patient here on the right, we have a PaCO2 of 30. Well, we remember from above, their pH was in the B column because their pH was a 7.48. So now that we have a PaCO2 or carbon dioxide of 30, this is low. So we don't have a lot of carbon dioxide present. So this is going to be basic or alkalotic. So we're going to put our PaCO2 also in our B column. So now this means that we actually have tic-tac-toe. So that A, N, and B on that top line, they count. So since we have 3 in a row here and 3 in a row here, because we have these 3 in a row without our HCO3, we do know the mechanism of this acid-base result. So in our patient to the left here, we can say that they are respiratory acidosis because they have this acidosis that is respiratory driven. And in our patient here to the right, we have a alkalosis, and we can see this is also respiratory driven. So they have a respiratory alkalosis present as well. But this PaCO2 and HCO3 can be done in any order after this pH to help them determine which imbalance is potentially present. We can have a mix of acidosis and alkalosis as well, and it's important to make sure that we utilize all of our ABG labs. So lastly, we're going to look at step 4, and we're going to still figure out this HCO3 or this bicarb. So these are going to be new labs that we're going to use here on our last patient. So this patient on the left, we see has a low pH, so this is in our acidotic column. Our PaCO2 is going to be normal because it's within our 35 to 45 range, and our HCO3 or our bicarb is going to be acidotic because our bicarb is so low. So we do have 3 in a row over here, but we're going to jump to our patient on the right first. We see a pH that is alkalotic in this 7.49. We have a PaCO2 of 38, which is also within normal range. And we have this bicarb here at 34, which is going to be alkalotic as well. So we do have tic-tac-toe on both sides. So we can consider our patient on the left here in a metabolic acidosis because their kidneys here have gotten rid of this bicarb, so they're going to have more acid because we don't have more bicarb, and our pH already told us this because our pH is at a level of 7.2. So we have a metabolic acidosis. And our patient here on the right, we're going to see this alkalosis because our pH is basic, 7.49, but we see that this is metabolically done because this is a 34. That concludes our basic lesson of our ABG tic-tac-toe. Go ahead and fill out these practice questions on your own time. You will see that there are some of them in there that might have a little bit of a mix going on. And in our next lesson, we're going to talk about our uncompensated and our compensated respiratory or metabolic acidosis alkalosis. I'll see you in the next one.